Alright lads, buckle up because things around Ibrox are getting real spicy. Just when you thought the Rangers' managerial hunt was starting to narrow down, another name has stormed into the conversation, and it's one that could shake things up completely. It had been looking like a straight shootout between Russell Martin and a couple of high-profile Italians, Carlo Ancelotti, and for a wee while even Steven Gerrard made his way back into the headlines. But hold on, don't get too excited. Word on the street now is that Stevie G is officially out of the race. Now, this isn't just some baseless rumor. It's being widely reported that Gerrard won't be returning to Rangers, and there are a few key reasons floating around. First off, his family are apparently well settled where they are, and uprooting them to come back to the UK isn't on the cards right now. And secondly, and maybe more importantly, there's talk that returning to the UK could create a massive tax headache for him, especially considering the sizable sum he earned during his stint in Saudi Arabia. Let's face it, nobody wants to hand over a massive chunk of their earnings if they don't have to. So if Stevie's out, then that's that. No need to dwell on it. Personally, I wouldn't have minded seeing him back. I get why some fans were against it, but he did bring us a title when we desperately needed one. Still, it looks like that ship has sailed. Now, I know Dave King recently mentioned Gerrard as the most obvious candidate, and sure, he's not wrong, when you think about it from a sentimental or legacy standpoint. After all, Gerrard was the last manager to bring the league trophy back to Ibrox. And of course, King had a good working relationship with him back in the day. But here's the catch. Dave King doesn't have a say in these decisions anymore. That era is done. Right now, it's all about the current board, or more accurately, those expected to take control after the imminent takeover. From all the whispers coming out of Glasgow, it sounds like the real decision-making is happening far from Ibrox itself. The power now lies with the 49ers group and Andrew Kavanagh. They're running the show behind closed doors, and the current board's been completely shut out of the process. Honestly, it's no surprise. After the mess they've made in recent years, they've probably lost the trust needed to make such a crucial call. So let's talk about the new name that's made its way to the top of the rumor mill, Francesco Farioli. Now that's a name not many fans were expecting to hear. The young Italian gaffer is quickly gaining a reputation across Europe and is seen as one of the brightest up-and-coming minds in football. He was actually in the frame during the last managerial search that ended with Michael Beale getting the job, so he's not completely new to the Rangers' radar. Most recently, he was in charge of Ajax. A big name, no doubt, but his time there ended on a bit of a sour note. Farioli's Ajax looked like genuine title contenders for a good part of the season. They were 9 points clear at one stage, and they were playing some proper exciting football, even giving good accounts of themselves in Europe. But then things went sideways. Apparently, he had a major fallout with the Ajax board, and everything started to unravel. The momentum was lost. PSV stormed ahead, and Ajax finished the season with nothing to show for it. Now, while that sounds like a disaster, it's also a bit of a reality check. Things can go south even with talented managers when there's conflict off the pitch. That said, what Farioli showed tactically and stylistically during his time in charge left a lasting impression. So who exactly is Francesco Farioli? Well, for starters, he's only 36. That's young for a manager at this level, but don't let that fool you into thinking he's inexperienced. He might not have had a glittering playing career. Far from it, actually. He was a goalkeeper at a small club called Magen Coperta, and let's just say he didn't make headlines as a player. But what he did do was study hard. He's got a background in philosophy and sports science from the University of Florence. His coaching journey began in the lower divisions of Italian football as a goalkeeping coach, and from there he climbed the ladder step by step. His big break came when he started working with Roberto De Zerbi, the man who later made waves at Brighton and Marseille. Farioli served as De Zerbi's goalkeeping coach at Benevento and later at Sassuolo. That period had a massive influence on his coaching style. He's clearly taken inspiration from De Zerbi's possession-heavy, high-intensity football, but added his own twist to it. After going solo, he took charge of Fatih Karagümrük in Turkey in 2020, then moved to Alanyaspor, where he really started getting noticed. From there, he made his way to Nice in France and finally landed the Ajax gig in 2024. At each club, his record gradually improved. At Karagümrük, he had a win percentage of just over 40%, not bad, for a club fighting against some of the Turkish giants. At Alanyaspor, he edged it up a bit more. Then came his time at Nice, where he guided the club to a 5th-place finish and a spot in the Europa League. During that season, there were even moments when Nice were pushing PSG at the top of the table before fading out due to lack of investment. Finally, at Ajax, he hit a win rate of almost 65%, which, considering the level of competition with PSV and Feyenoord, is nothing to scoff at. What really makes Farioli stand out is his footballing philosophy. Is modern, aggressive, and all about dominating the game through possession. He loves to build play from the back, using short, rapid passes to pull opponents out of shape. His sides play through the center of the pitch, constantly looking for overloads and exploiting space, especially out wide. Off the ball, they press high and look to win it back quickly. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's the kind of intensity Rangers have been missing. Our build-up in recent seasons has been sluggish, predictable, and far too easy to defend against. Farioli's approach would be a breath of fresh air, but it's not just about attack. Defensively, his team stay compact, force opposition play toward the flanks and spring into high pressing when the time is right. He adapts well to different game situations, and that sort of tactical flexibility could serve Rangers well in a league where you're expected to dominate most weeks but still be ready to scrap it out in Europe. So here we are with 24 days to go before preseason begins, and the club still hasn't named a new manager. That's got a lot of fans anxious, and rightly so. On one hand, yeah, it's frustrating. The club's known for weeks, maybe even months, that Barry Ferguson wasn't going to be the long-term answer. There should have been a sense of urgency to get someone in and start preparing for the new campaign. But on the other hand, you could argue they're taking their time because they want to get it right. No rush decisions, no half-baked appointments. They're doing their due diligence, exploring every possible candidate and aiming for the best fit for where the club wants to go. And we also need to factor in the potential ownership change. If the appointment process is being handled externally by Andrew Kavanagh and his team far from Ibrox, it makes sense that no official move will be made until the takeover is completed. Dave King himself hinted that things might not be finalized until mid-June, so maybe we all need to be a bit more patient. The real question now is it a two-horse race between the Italians? Are we looking at a straight shootout between Davide Ancelotti and Francesco Farioli? Or is Russell Martin still somehow in the mix, even though fans seem adamantly against his appointment? One thing's for sure, we as supporters don't get to pick the manager. All we can do is watch, wait, and hope that whoever takes the job is the right one to bring us back to the top. Let me know what you think about this whole Farioli situation. Are you impressed by his profile, or are you worried about how things ended at the Ajax? Now let's dig a bit deeper into what hiring someone like Francesco Farioli could actually mean for Rangers, not just tactically, but in terms of culture, identity, and long-term vision. Because this wouldn't just be a typical appointment of a seasoned name looking for another paycheck. No, bringing in Farioli would be a proper statement of intent. It would signal a desire to modernize, to build something bold, progressive, and exciting. It would be Rangers stepping away from the same old merry-go-round of managers and taking a gamble on a fresh football mind who lives and breathes the tactical side of the game. And let's be real, Farioli is a football obsessive. You don't go from coaching under-17 goalkeepers in Qatar to the dugout at Ajax unless you're absolutely relentless in your craft. That's not luck. That's a guy who's been working in the background for years, developing ideas, studying the game, learning from some of the sharpest minds in modern football. He's part of this new wave of coaches, guys like De Zerbi, Nagelman, and Amorim, who never had a glamorous playing career, but who've made their mark through intelligence preparation and a clear footballing philosophy. The challenge, of course, is whether Rangers is the right environment for that sort of manager to thrive. We're not Ajax, and we're definitely not Nice. We're a club with massive expectations, an unforgiving fan base, and a domestic league where you're expected to win nearly every week. There's no room for a learning curve. It's win or face the pressure immediately. And for all his promise, Farioli is still young, still relatively inexperienced at a club where second place isn't good enough. That's the balancing act. The risk is there, but so is the upside. You bring in someone like Farioli, you need to back him. Not just with money for transfers, but with time structure and alignment from the top down. You need a football department that understands his style, scouts the right players, and gives him the platform to implement his system properly. If you Throw him into the deep end with mismatched signings and unrealistic demands, then don't be surprised if it all unravels. But if you do it right, if you give him the right tools, then you might just be building something special. Something sustainable. A team that not only wins but plays with purpose and identity. And let's not pretend we wouldn't welcome that at Ibrox. We've had far too many false dawns, too many seasons where we scrape through games without ever looking like a side with real cohesion or attacking intent. Farioli with his aggressive pressing, his possession dominance, his patterns of play. That's exactly what we've been crying out for. It's also worth considering how he could transform some of the players already at the club. A manager like Farioli isn't just looking to bring in a dozen new faces. He wants to develop talent. He wants to work on the training ground, improve individuals, build systems that get the best out of what he's got. Young players in particular could flourish under him. Think of someone like McCausland being molded into a high-pressing wide forward, or a midfielder like Raskin being given a more defined creative role. That's the kind of development you get when a manager has a clear vision and a modern approach. Still, it's not all rosy. There are genuine concerns. The way things fell apart at Ajax can't be ignored. Yes, he had a strong win percentage, but losing the dressing room or clashing with the board is never a good sign. Rangers can't afford more behind-the-scenes drama. We've had enough of that in recent years. The club needs stability just as much as it needs fresh ideas. And then there's the timing. Preseason is creeping closer, and the longer this drags on, the more behind we fall. Every day without a manager is a day without planning, without training. Schedules without transfer movement, or that's where the ownership situation becomes such a key factor. If, as it's being suggested, the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh are running the show behind the curtain, then we might not hear anything official until the deal is fully finalized around mid-June. And that puts everything on hold. You can scout all the managers in the world, but until the people holding the keys to the club actually step in, nothing concrete will happen. So we're stuck in this limbo, waiting, watching, speculating. Farioli might be the man. He might not. But the mere fact that his name has entered the frame shows you the direction this club might be leaning toward. Something more adventurous, more forward-thinking. It's a gamble, sure, but it might just be the kind of gamble that brings us back to the top in a way that lasts longer than just one trophy. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. There's a fresh murmur sweeping through the streets of Glasgow, and it's one that's getting the blue half of the city buzzing with anticipation. Word on the terraces is that Lawrence Shankland, the prolific Heart striker and one of Scotland's most lethal finishers, could be making his way to Ibrox. Aye, you heard it. Shankland to Rangers is the latest rumor lighting up the pubs and forums. Sources close to the player have remained tight-lipped, but that hasn't stopped supporters from speculating wildly. Some claim he's already been spotted in Glasgow's West End, while others insist the deal is all but done, awaiting only the official unveiling. And if the whispers are to be believed, Shankland's arrival would not just be another signing. It'd be a statement. It's no secret that Rangers have been in the market for firepower up front, especially with Alfredo Morelos long gone and the current options struggling for consistent form. Shankland, with his knack for being in the right place at the right time, could very well be the man to lead the line in Govan. His record at Hearts speaks for itself. A player who doesn't just score goals, but scores important goals. A true talisman for the Jambos. Of course, Hearts fans will be devastated at even the thought of losing their captain. But football's a ruthless game, and Shankland's ambitions may well be leading him towards the prospect of European nights under the Ibrox lights and challenging for silverware on multiple fronts. There's been no official confirmation from either club, but that hasn't stopped the rumor mill from churning at full tilt. Some insiders suggest that Rangers are prepared to table a significant offer to prize him away from Tynecastle, while others reckon player plus cash deals are being floated in hushed meetings behind closed doors. If Shankland does indeed swap maroon for blue, expect a hero's welcome in Govan. The fans are already dreaming of him banging in goals against Celtic, leading the charge in Europe and etching his name alongside other iconic strikers who've worn the famous jersey. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comment section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.